ground shake.
Hello students, we are starting with microeconomics part 5. This will be the last part in chapter number 1, where I'm going to explain you about positive and normative economics. Plus with that we are having micro and macroeconomic brief amount of introduction in this chapter. Now starting with positive and normative economics. So what is this positive and normative economics? As you can think about, there are problems in the economy. What are the problems, basic problems in the economy? We are having 3 basic problems in the economy: what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. So this basic problems of economy can be solved by different economic systems, as I have discussed in the previous videos. That is, it can be solved by centrally planned economy, it can be solved by private economy, that is market economy. It can be even taken into consideration with a mixed economy where private and government together will collaborate together and they'll solve the problems of what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce when the resources are scarce in nature. Okay, now what is this positive and normative economic? So positive and normative economic are the 2 kind of mechanisms, okay, and these 2 kind of mechanism are being used in terms of solving the problems. Okay, so which problems? That is the basic problems of the economy. How these problems have been solved in positive and normative economic. So just giving you a simple amount of statement what actually positive economic means. Okay, so when I talk about a positive economic, it deals with what is or how an economic problem facing an economy is being solved. It analyzes the cause and effect relationship. Okay, so here when we are talking about a positive economic, you actually check what is and what was, okay, what can be done and what cannot be done. Okay, whether this problem what we are going to solve, it will be providing us a desirable result or not. Getting it? So it is all about a practical issue where you are experimenting with the problem. You are experimenting with the problem. You always come with a cause and effect relationship. Okay, for example, I'll give you an example saying that if we increase the price of tobacco, what happens towards the economy? If the prices increase, consumption also will increase? No. When prices increases, consumption decreases. Why? Because for the tobacco, what you're giving, for example, ₹5 you're paying and you're taking a sachet of tobacco. Now, if the prices are increasing from ₹5 to ₹10, you have to purchase one packet or one sachet for ₹10. That is a costlier affair. So here you're going to check the cause and effect relationship. Tobacco is something where you're providing that good and it is not a desirable good towards the society because it is having some amount of disadvantage towards the people. Getting it? Now increasing the prices where the government is telling that we are discouraging whom? We are discouraging to those people who are using this tobacco. If we increase the prices, people will not consume the tobacco. Okay, now if those people who are addicted to that product, they obviously whenever the price is increasing, they use 2 sachets. Now they'll use 1 sachet, but they'll use it. Getting it? Now this is called as cause and effect relationship. When there is a problem related in an economy that certain amount of XYZ commodity is damaging to the people or it is damaging to the society, at that time the government has taken a step called as we are going to increase the price of that XYZ commodity. Now here you are going to see what will be the cause and what will be the effect of this amount of solution what has been given saying that we increase the prices. At that time the customer can buy the product or customer might stop buying the product. So this is what? This is a solution given to the problem in the economy in terms of whether the cause and effect relationship are working or not. So this is called as positive economic, where you're going to solve certain amount of different problems by providing different amount of solutions. Now, what is this normative economic? So, normative economic, it deals with analyzing. Okay, it always gives a thorough amount of analysis and what ought to be. Okay, and how an economic problem should be solved. What ought to be means what is actually a right of a person, what is actually permissible. Okay, for example, if I can give you in normative economic is education has to be provided to each and every citizen in India. Health facility or health infrastructure has to be provided to each citizen in India. So this is what, this is right, this is a permissible right by the government to the citizen of India. Here you cannot say that what if I give it, or what if I don't give education to the society. So you cannot actually be judgmental at this part. It is the right of each and every citizen, and it is a permissible right of a government that it has to provide education to the people in the society who stays in India, or provide health infrastructure to the people who are staying in a country. So at that time it becomes very important to make a right decision, because it is a right of our society. Getting it? So normative economic doesn't go in terms of solving the problem by experimenting. It is talking about all that has to be, ought to be, that is the permissible right of each and every person that they have to follow. So these are the two mechanisms where positive economic is a bit of what we can say, you can actually be judgmental whether it is right or wrong, where normative economics you cannot be judgmental, where you have to give a right decision towards the problems to be solved. Okay, so let's see what has been given in our chapter 1. It was mentioned earlier that in principles that there are more than one ways of solving the central problems of an economy. So here they are making it very clearly, saying that whenever we are having central problems of the economy, we are having more than one ways of solving the central problems of an economy. Now we are going to study only two ways of solving the problem in economy, but there are many ways in economic, but in our syllabus or in our portion we are having only two amount of problems to be solved by two mechanisms, that is positive or normative economics. Okay. These different mechanisms in general are likely to give rise to different solutions to those problems. Whenever we are using positive economics or normative economics to solve the problems as a mechanism, they give the solution, but they give different amount of solution to those problems, because positive economic think in different manner and normative economic thinks in different manner. Okay, thereby resulting in different allocation of resources and also different distribution of final mix of goods and services produced in the economy. So whenever we are talking about scarce resources, the allocation of resources are very different to positive and normative economic, because the solution provided by the mechanism of positive and normative economic are very different. So the allocation of resources and the distribution of final goods and final mix of goods and services are also very different produced by the economy. Okay, therefore it is important to understand which of these alternative mechanisms are more desirable for the economy as a whole. So now here they are stating that now at this point of time we have to actually understand what we have to understand, the importance of these two amount of mechanism which is desirable, which is that I can take into consideration. Either I have to go to positive economics, either I have to go to normative economic as economy as a whole. This is in economics we try to analyze the different mechanism and figure out the outcomes which are likely to result under each of this mechanism. So here in our economics we are going to actually check out what is normative economic and positive economic. We figure out the outcomes means the solutions. Okay, we figure out the solutions, we see the result, and then we actually finalize which result is desirable in terms of solving the basic problems of an economy. Okay. We also try to evaluate the mechanism by studying how desirable the outcome resulting from them are. So here, sometimes we always take both of the mechanism or more than two mechanisms that is there in economic. And after studying them thoroughly, we actually check that which solution is desirable, which outcome, that is results, okay, which outcome solution is desirable, and we can go further with the solution. Okay. Now, continuation with this same amount of topic of normative economic and positive economics. Often a distinction has been made. Distinction means there is a difference between positive and economic they have made. Okay, what is that? Positive economic analysis and normative economic analysis depend on whether we are trying to figure out how a particular mechanism functions or we are trying to evaluate it. So here they are saying that both positive and normative, they are analysis, and these analysis are depending whether we are trying to understand how a particular mechanism functions, okay, how normative is functioning, how positive is functioning, and then we try to evaluate it. Try to evaluate means then we are going to check whether we have to solve the problem by taking positive economic analysis into consideration or by normative economic analysis, okay. In positive economic analysis, we study how the different mechanism functions. So here they say that in positive we are going to talk about the functioning of different mechanism. That is all about the cause and effect amount of results, okay. So normative economic, we try to understand whether this mechanism are desirable or not, whether it is right or wrong, whether it is good or bad, whether it is correct or wrong. This is what we are going to learn in normative economic, but in positive economics we are going to have the solution of the problem in terms of analyzing the cause and effect. But here in normative, what ought to be, that means the problem should be solved. Okay, should be solved means it is very much desirable. Okay, it is desirable. That education is important. Yes, it is important. You cannot say that education for half of the society is important, half of the society is not important. No, you cannot take the decision. Why? Because education is the vital importance and it is a right of each and every citizens of India. Getting it? In our country. So normative economic has to finalize any decision in terms of solving the problem, whether it is desirable or not. Yes, it is desirable. Kindly provide the service to the society. If I come towards the current situation of COVID-19, we are having too much of lockdowns. Okay, at that time we had necessities of life, like we had food, we had pulses, we had our seeds, we had milk. Okay, so these are necessities of life. They are needful goods that is essential in our day-to-day life. And that time, whether we have to provide these services, yes, we have to provide the services. There is no restriction in terms of providing these services to the people in the society, though there were a lot of restriction in terms of lockdowns in the society. So this is a right of each and every citizen. Why? Because necessities are very important, essential commodities are very important. So you don't go with a second thought in terms of whether I am providing this or not providing this. No, you are providing it. Why? Because it is a right of every citizen and it is a desirable amount of solution to the problem. Getting it? So this is something where you're going to solve the problem related to normative economic. When I give you one more example related to positive economic, whether I have to open the malls, okay, shopping malls are there, I have to open it. So here in positive economic, whether at this particular condition of COVID-19 situation it is important, no, it is not at all important. What if I open? Okay, what are the causes? What are the effects? What are the problems? So at that time, it is not at all taken into consideration. Why? Because it is analyzed by a mechanism of positive economics with the cause and effects. Getting it? Okay. However, this distinction between the positive and normative economic analysis is not a very sharp one. So here they are saying when we are talking about this distinction between positive and normative economic, it doesn't give much amount of difference. It is not very sharp. We are having a slight amount of difference in terms of analyzing positive and normative. The positive and normative analysis involve the study of central problems, economic problems are very closely related to each other, and a proper understanding of one is not possible in isolation to the other. So here they say that we cannot control it, we can not confidently say that only normative economic provide a good amount of solution, only positive economic provide a good amount of solution. We cannot come in terms of isolating one problem to the another, because each one gives a different amount of analysis towards the problems. Getting it? So if for 1 mark to 2 marks they might ask what is positive economic and normative economic, so you can prefer this answer for your explanation. Okay, I hope you people are clear with positive and normative economics. Now coming back towards the next concept that is related to micro and macroeconomic. Initially in my first video I have given you a certain amount of explanation about what is microeconomic and macroeconomic. Now I am going to brief you the explanation about how we are going to actually study microeconomic and macroeconomic. We have studied in microeconomic what we are studying, but here a brief amount of detail has been given in terms of what macroeconomic does and how macroeconomic studies are taken into consideration. Okay, I said you microeconomic is all about a single unit, a single agent, a single economic producer. When it comes to macroeconomic, it is a whole amount of production. It is about the aggregate production, aggregate distribution. It is the entire part of the production. Getting it? Traditionally, the subject matter of economic has been studied under two broad branches. Okay, so traditionally, if I talk about economics, it is been divided into two segments. That is, first one is, what is first one? It is microeconomic, and second one is macroeconomic. Now, what is microeconomic? In microeconomic, we study the behavior of individual economic agents. So here we are talking about the behavior of whom? The behavior of individual economic agents. You people know it, okay? So it is a behavior of individual economic agents in the market for what? For different goods and services. And try to figure out how prices and quantities of goods and services are determined through the interaction of individuals in this market. So here you're coming up with a new amount of thing. What is a new thing? You have to say that. Here you're going to figure out what, how what, how prices and quantity of goods are determined through what? Through interaction of individuals in what? In these markets. Getting it? So this is very important in microeconomic. What we are studying in the further chapters in economic is we are going to study how these prices and the quantities of goods and services can be determined by whom? By an individual in this market. See, here we are going to study the behavior of whom? Of the individual economic agents. That means only XYZ person, how this person is behaving in the market, because microeconomic is all about what? Single unit, single economic agent, individual economic agent. So we are going to not take all the economic agents into consideration. We are going to take only individual economic agent into consideration. And what we are figuring out? We are going to figuring out how these in these markets of different goods and services, the individual will behave in what? How the prices and the quantity of goods and services differs. We are going to study this in the market. For example, if I can take into consideration tomatoes, okay, if the price of the tomatoes increases, the demand will decrease or increase. If the price is 20 rupees per kilogram, you can buy some 10 units of tomatoes. But if the same price of tomatoes is 100 rupees per kilogram, then you're going to buy 10 units of tomatoes? No, you're going to reduce the units of tomatoes. Why? Because the price is increasing. When price increases, what happens? Buying behavior changes, that is demand decreases. You will not buy 10 units, you might buy some 1 unit or 2 units, or you can buy 5 units because the price is increasing. The same thing happened to us in the buying behavior in apparels. Okay, if you're having any pair of apparel available, clothing available, you want to buy what we can say, you can buy a t-shirt or a jeans pant. Okay, when you're buying a jeans pant and a t-shirt, the pair of these two commodities 100 rupees, you might buy 5 units of that. You can buy 5 pairs of that amount of apparel, but the same amount of product is being sold for 10,000 rupees. Okay, so it is essential. If it is 10,000 rupees, you might not buy 10 units, you might buy at least only 1 unit. Why? Because the price increases, demand decreases. Price is increasing from 100 rupees to 10,000. That means the demand is decreasing from 10 units to 1 unit. Getting it? If the price is decreasing from 10,000 to 100, at that time the quantity demanded, that is the demand, increases from how many unit? 1 unit to 10 units. So this is what is the behavior we are going to study, in which we are going to study in terms of microeconomic, how prices and quantity of goods and services are determined in interaction of individual in these markets. So this is what we are going to study in microeconomic in a coming chapter, chapter number 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now what is this macroeconomic? In macroeconomic, on the other hand means it is the opposite way. We try to get an understanding of economy as a whole by focusing our attention on aggregate measures. See, here they are saying economy as a whole. but here they are saying individual economic agent. So this makes a difference, a huge difference in terms of studying. What we are studying in macroeconomic, we are studying economy as a whole, but in microeconomic we are studying economic agents individually. So this is making, or this focus is giving you a lot of attention how this microeconomics is different from macroeconomic. Okay, on the other hand, we try to get an understanding of the economy as a whole by focusing our attention on aggregates. See, we are talking about individuals in this market, but we are talking about aggregate measures, such as what they are saying. They are saying total output, employment, and aggregate price level. Okay, aggregate price level. Here they have given just prices, but here they are saying we are not talking only prices, we are talking about aggregate prices. That means the total amount of prices involved in the market. Okay, so what we are going to study in macroeconomic, economy as a whole, we're focusing our attention on aggregate measures such as what? Such as total amount of output employed, and aggregate production of price levels. Getting it? So these is very important in terms of macroeconomic. So here we are having certain questions to be asked in macroeconomic, like what is that aggregate means? How is that aggregate has been studied in macroeconomic? So let's see what are the questions. Okay. Here we are interested in finding out how the levels of these aggregate measures are determined and how the level of these aggregate measures change over time. So here we are talking about in macroeconomic, we are interested in finding out what the levels of aggregate, how these levels of aggregates have been measured and how this level of aggregate measures can be changed over time. Okay, as the demand is changing, the aggregate measure changes. Aggregate measures can even be having some amount of differences in terms of demand and supply also. Okay, so what is this demand and supply? I'll explain you in the further videos. Okay, so these are some amount of changes that can happen only in macroeconomic, considering that in microeconomic it is very less, because we're not talking about aggregate. In microeconomic we are talking about individual changes. Okay, so some of the questions, important questions that are being studied in microeconomic are as follows. So what is this? Microeconomic, we are going to study some amount of things. What is the level of total output in the economy? Okay, so what is the level of total output in the economy? We are going to study in economics, microeconomics. What is the total output determined? How is the total output being determined? How does the total output grow over time? Are the resources of the economy, example labor, fully employed? What are the reasons behind the unemployment of resources? Why do price rises? So these are some of the questions that we are going to study in microeconomic in a further chapter number 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So where you are going to take each chapter and it has been emphasized in terms of total output. Okay, as they have given total output, how we are going to have total output and to determine how the total output grows over time. So here you are having one concept of theory of consumer behavior in chapter number 2. In chapter number 3 you are going to study about production. Okay, in chapter number 4 you are going to study about cost. Okay, and then you are going to go in terms of labors. Okay, that is there in chapter number 5. So these all help you in terms of solving the problems of microeconomic from one chapter to another, and understand the microeconomic concept very subtle and very clearly. Okay, so coming towards the conclusion part, I hope you people are clear with what is the difference between microeconomic and macroeconomic, and these questions, whatever has been asked in microeconomic, I will be providing you the answer in the coming amount of chapter, because you have to go in thorough detailed studies of some of the concept to actually come out with these answers, though it is recommended in microeconomic. So the conclusion is, thus instead of studying the different market as is done in microeconomic, in macroeconomic we try to study the behavior of aggregate or macro measures of performance of the economy. So in microeconomic we study only a particular amount of market, but in macroeconomic we are going to study the behavior of aggregate macroeconomic measures and the performance of the economy, where both are different concepts and both of the concepts give different meaning towards the economics. Okay, so these were the concept related to positive and normative economics, and there were the concept related to micro and macroeconomic. I hope you people are clear with this concept, which is important for your 1 marks and 2 marks in your final examinations. Okay, thank you.